can we comment on the fact that you're increasingly attacked, followed by crypto folks, which I think you mentioned somewhere that means the name change had to be because they were trying to snipe, they're trying to steal, and so you had to be the name. I mean, from the engineering perspective, it's just fascinating. You had to make the name change atomic, make sure it's changed everywhere at once.
Yeah, I failed very hard at that.
You did.
I underestimated those people. It's a very interesting subculture. Like everything circles around. I probably get a lot wrong, and we probably get hate for that if you didn't say that. But there's like Bags app, and then they tokenize everything, and they did the same back with Vibe Tunnel, but to a much smaller degree. It was not that annoying. But on this project, they've been swarming me. It's like every half an hour someone came into Discord and spammed it, and we had to block the. We have like server rules, and one of the rules is no mentioning of butter for obvious reasons, and one was no talk about finance stuff for crypto, because I'm just not interested in that, and this is a space about the project and not about some finance stuff. But yeah, they came in and spammed and annoying. And on Twitter, they would ping me all the time. My notification feed was unusable. I could barely see actual people talking about the stuff because it was like swarms.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody sent me hashes. And they all try me to claim the fees. Like, we're helping the project, claim the fees. No, you're actually harming the project. You're like disrupting my work. And I am not interested in any fees. First of all, I'm financially comfortable. Second of all, I don't want to support that. Because it's so far the worst form of online harassment that I've experienced.
Yeah, there's a lot of toxicity in the crypto world. It's sad because the technology of cryptocurrency is fascinating, powerful, and maybe will define the future of money. But the actual community around that, there's so much toxicity, there's so much greed, there's so much trying to get a shortcut to manipulate, to steal, to snipe, to game the system somehow to get money, all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's the human nature, I suppose, when you connect human nature with money and greed and especially in the online world with anonymity and all that kind of stuff. But from the engineer perspective, it makes your life challenging. When Anthropic reaches out, you have to do a name change, and then there's like all these like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings armies of different kinds you have to be aware of.
There was no perfect name, and I didn't sleep for 2 nights. I was under high pressure. I was trying to get like a good set of domains, and not cheap, not easy, because in this state of the internet, you basically have to buy domains if you want to have a good set. And then another email came in that the lawyers are getting uneasy. Again, friendly, but also just adding more stress to my situation already. So at this point, I was just like, sorry, there's not a word, fuck it. And I just renamed it to Maltbot, because that was the set of domains I had. I was not really happy, but I thought it'll be fine. And I tell you, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. It's incredible. I thought I had mapped the space out and reserved the important things.
Can you give some details of the stuff that gone wrong? Because it's interesting from like an engineering perspective.
Well, the interesting stuff is that none of these services have a squatter protection. So I had 2 browser windows open. One was like an empty account ready to be renamed to CloudBot, and the other one I renamed to Maltbot. So I pressed rename there. I pressed rename there, and in those 5 seconds, they stole the account name. Literally, the 5 seconds of dragging the mouse over there and pressing rename there was too long.
Wow.
Because there's those systems, I mean, you would expect that they have some protection or like an automatic forwarding, but there's nothing like that. And I didn't know that they're not just good at harassment, they're also really good at using scripts and tools.
Yeah.
So suddenly like the old account was promoting new tokens and serving malware. And I was like, okay, let's move over to GitHub. And I pressed rename on GitHub. And the GitHub renaming thing is slightly confusing. So I renamed my personal account. And in those, I guess it took me 30 seconds to realize my mistake. They sniped my account, serving malware from my account. So I was like, okay, let's at least do the NPM stuff. But that takes like a minute to upload. They sniped the NPM package because I could reserve the account, but I didn't reserve the root package. So like everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Can I just ask a curious question? In that moment, you're sitting there, like, how shitty do you feel? That's a pretty helpless feeling, right?
Yeah, because all I wanted was like having fun with that project and keep building on it. And yet here I am like days into researching names, picking a name I didn't like, and having people that claim they helped me, making my life miserable in every possible way. And honestly, I was that close of just deleting it. I was like, I did show you the future, you build it.
Yeah.
That was a big part of me. I got a lot of joy out of that idea. And then I thought about all the people that already contributed to it, and I couldn't do it because they had plans with it and they put time in it, and it just didn't feel right.